What's up? It's your girl, Kai the Chemist. And for today, we will be wrapping up, this will be part 3 of our water, aka water discussion. Now, in the last video, I was able to drop that resource, www.ewg.org. Hopefully, you were able to take the time to go ahead and look at some of those contaminants that are specific to your area. And I was able to talk about the water sources of York, Pennsylvania, as well as Phoenix, Arizona. Now, I was able to briefly mention what are some effective methods for filtering out some of those contaminants, but the intentions for today were to kind of be able to talk about that a little bit more in depth, right? So for those chlorine byproducts, which are relevant to both York, PA, as well as Phoenix, Arizona, reverse osmosis and carbon filters are the best type of filtration methods for that. And so, like, what does that even look like, right? So if you're balling and you got it like that, please invest in a reverse osmosis system for your home. But I know that most of us, we are balling, but it's on a budget. So what you can do is go to, the gas stations, grocery stores, and also there's a water and ice on like every corner. But, taking some containers in, they could be glass or plastic, ideally glass, but, I know that they get heavy and also it's not cheap, but they are environmental friendly. So, there's something to think about. But anyways, taking those gallons in, you pay less than $1, fill it up, and then bring it home and filtrating it again in your Brita filter, which I know may seem like a lot of work, but you can ensure yourself in that the water that you will then be consuming would be significantly cleaner than what it was when you bought it. Also for Phoenix, Arizona, there were those 2 contaminants, which were your, those heavy metals. And another thing that I realized that I forgot to mention in that last video was I took the time to talk about how those contaminants relevant to York, Pennsylvania affect the body. But for Phoenix, Arizona, I did not do the same. So those heavy metals, again, are considered to be carcinogens, and they can have effects on your immune system. And specifically for arsenic, that can have an effect on your liver, potentially, in regards to creating or causing cancer. And then again, it is very possible that all of these contaminants could accelerate any type of illness in the body. So now that we kind of went through and talked about the filtration process for those contaminants reported, I definitely want to state that all this information is available on ewg.org, and also that there are lots of other contaminants present, but I was only focusing on some of those top reported ones. Another thing to be mindful, and the conversation that we need to have, which is why we're here talking about it, is this whole time we've been talking about consumption, right? Water that we're drinking, but let's take the time to talk about the water that we're exposing ourselves to in regards to what we're putting on our bodies, right? Like, hopefully we're all taking showers or baths to some extent. And if this stuff is in the tap, this stuff is in our shower water, right? So investing in a filtration system for your shower, yes, there are budget-friendly options. So I know that Lowe's and Home Depot offer them. They're like $20. Now, if you know someone who's in the military, you get 10% off. Or if you know somebody who works there, they get 10% off. So that's something to think about. But the only thing is that you have to change the filter out every 6 months. But you can actually see when you go to change that filter, you can actually see some of the buildup that shower head was filtering out. Definitely worth the investment. Now, I also want to state that, okay, so we talked about the water that we're consuming, how you can filter that out. And then also water that we're showering with, how we can filter that out. And then I did mention in the last video, you know, if you are taking upon yourself to buy bottled water, how you can, you know, look at or hopefully become aware of what are some of those contaminants present in that water, right? And depending on what those are, you can kind of use this similar report to figure out, like, should you be bringing your bottled water home and then filtering it out in a Brita filter again? You know what I mean? Like trying to go through that process and hopefully sparking something to really encourage you to question, like, well, hopefully everything, but specifics to water, because that's what we're really trying to focus on today. Now, another thing that I want to mention, and this is definitely relevant if you're trying to move or, you know, depending on where you live and where you're from, is Superfund sites and chemical spills, right? So companies are required to report any chemical spill or some type of contamination that, you know, they're putting in the water. Hopefully that's the case for everything, but that's how things should be going, right? So I'm only bringing this up because there were some Superfund sites that are relevant to both water sources that I previously discussed, and I definitely was hoping to bring awareness to those. And again, also encouraging you to look all this up yourself, as well as being mindful about what are other chemical spills depending on different water sources, right? So for Arizona, back in 1981, Motorola, this was out in Scottsdale, on 52nd Street, there was a chemical spill, and this place actually was labeled as a Superfund site. So Superfund sites are basically like ex-chemical companies or industrial companies that leached chemicals into the water and got closed down and pretty much they have to pay money in order to get that water retreated and put back out, but still there were chemicals exposed to the local water source from these sites. In regards to York, Pennsylvania, the old City of York landfill, which is about like 10 miles south of York City, that was also a reported Superfund site. And again, these are just a couple Google searches, nothing too crazy. Now, I'd really like to talk about what we do with this information, right? Because it's all fine and dandy that, you know, A, you're becoming aware of what you're consuming, and B, how you can filter that out. But it's not okay that these contaminants are there. And what you can do is, A, educate yourself, right? Know what you're talking about, have your facts straight. You know, definitely that awareness aspect. And then teaching other people, right? Talking to your friends, talking to your family, like asking people, do you even know what's in the water that you're drinking, right? Like, definitely a relevant thing to talk about. And then also reaching out to elected officials, right? At this point, the only thing that's really going to help changes to occur is us as citizens reach out to these, you know, our governmental elected officials and question them in regards to, like, what are we doing about certain contaminants and how are we gonna clean those out? So hopefully that's a little bit of food for thought today. Again, I appreciate you all taking the time to give me that time out of your day, listen to your girl. Now, I definitely do want to make sure I take the time real quick to talk about the book of the day, and that is Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. This is a staple to any library collection. So yeah, check it out. And again, thank you for giving me your time.